77.9%. That's the win rate of the Oklahoma City Thunder since they've been at the 1 seed dating back to the 2023-24 season. If I were to ask you how many wins would it take for the OKC Thunder to officially be seen as a dynasty, what would you say? Probably a string of consecutive 50 to 60 win seasons, even flirting with that 70 win mark a year or two. The Thunder have been on a historic tear since the 2024 season, putting up some insane win counts that even dummy some of the greatest dynasties in modern NBA history. Like we mentioned, the Thunder have a win rate of 77.9%, nearly a 10% higher win rate than the Warriors from 2015 to 2020, more than 7% better than the Kobe and Shaq Lakers in the early 2000s, only one of 3 dynasties to ever three-peat. The Thunder are 6% better than the Spurs from 1999 to 2014, who won 5 championships in the span of 3 decades, as well as having a higher win rate than the Big 3 in Miami in the early 2010s. The Thunder even have a better win rate than both of the 2 dynasties of the 80s, the Showtime Lakers and the Larry Bird Celtics. OKC even beats out the Jordan Bulls from 1991 to 1998. Now, I'm not here to say that the OKC Thunder are better than these historic dynasties, but they're having a hell of a start. Of course, a dynasty is far more dependent on championships and deep playoff runs than just regular season wins. OKC has a long way to go to call themselves a dynasty, but with the start the Thunder are having now, it forces us to beg the question, is OKC next in line? The Thunder have played 181 games since the beginning of the 2024 season, and are off to a better start than 6 of the 7 other modern NBA dynasties, with a win rate near 80% so far, only paling to the Warriors from around 2015 to 2017. If OKC can maintain a pace of around 57 wins a season or so, with a few dips and peaks around a decade or so, throw in a few more finals appearances and a couple more championships, the Thunder would look less like an imposter compared to all these all-time great juggernauts. So get ready, because the NBA's next dynasty isn't just on the rise, it's already here. Now, the Oklahoma City Thunder weren't always getting comparisons to the 90s Bulls and Splash Brother Warriors, like we're all insane. The Thunder's sleek modern dynasty blueprint to avoid breaking the bank while holding all of the chips at the table for the next decade or so was definitely a work in progress. Rewinding the clock back a few years ago, and Paul George was one of the best two-way stars in the league on OKC. PG placed top 3 in both MVP and Defensive Player of the Year voting in 2019, averaging a very smooth 29, 8, and 4, while leading the league in steals and shooting 38% from long range. But Sam Presti must have had some future reading glasses on him, because what better idea to trade your franchise cornerstone for pretty much the Heat and Clippers' entire future. The trade that seemed absolutely ludicrous at the time, especially considering the fact that OKC still had prime Thunder Russell Westbrook, just 2 years out from his MVP season, still averaging a triple-double. After this trade, Sam Presti knew that OKC would be pretty bad for a couple years, going through a few rotten seasons, and a mix of different vets, role players, and prospects, until eventually they developed a core roster full of talent that was too enticing to ignore. Underrated two-way demons that can lock up your best perimeter defender and get a bucket like Cason Wallace and Aaron Wiggins. Valuable floor spacers like Isaiah Joe and AJ Mitchell. Point of attack defensive nightmares that can knock down the long ball like Lou Dort. Lanky big men that block anything near the rim and can hit the outside jumper like Chet Holmgren. Offensive phenoms that can also guard 1 through 5 like Jalen Williams. In just 3 quick seasons, OKC went from the 26th best team in the league, barely making it past the 20-win mark, to the best team in the West, and eventually having one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen in basketball. Wait, hold up though. I think I forgot to mention someone.
Spins away, cuts down the lane, switches. Shea, what a move. As SGA leans in, he got below the free throw line.
You cannot mention the OKC Thunder without saying the three-letter phrase SGA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander took no time in becoming one of the NBA's best scorers. By year 2, he's already averaging close to 20 points a game. By year 3, he was already pushing that 25 points per game mark. And by year 5, SGA was doing what some of the greatest scorers in the league's history have never done before. Average at least 30 points a game throughout a whole season. It might sound easier than you think due to the crazy stat lines us NBA fans have become all too familiar with on a daily basis. But even some NBA greats that we know for scoring big, like Larry Bird, Dirk Nowitzki, Clyde Drexler, Kevin Garnett, Reggie Miller, and Carmelo Anthony, all have never had a 30-point per game campaign. Averaging 30 in a season is certainly an accomplishment that only 39 players throughout the league's history can ever say they've done before. And what makes SGA's first 30-point per game season in 2023 so special is that he was just 24 years old at the time when he accomplished this. If we filter our list of all the 90 seasons that a player has averaged 30 points per game or more to only players that are 24 years old or younger, that list changes to just 39 individual names. But SGA still wasn't satisfied with this because he went out and did it again and again, and is doing it again in 2026, quickly moving away from just a lucky season to a generational bucket getter. Many NBA legends have been able to average 30 or more in at least one campaign, but stringing together these types of seasons is a different type of challenge that very few can rise to. Because of those 90 individual seasons and 39 individual players average 30, in the modern NBA, only 10 of those players have ever averaged 30 points in 2 consecutive seasons, that being Adrian Dantley and Michael Jordan in the 80s, Iverson and Kobe in the 2000s, James Harden with his unguardable step back in the 2010s, Bradley Beal in Washington, Joel Embiid with functioning legs, Mavs Luka, Giannis any season he doesn't win the MVP, and of course SGA. Now if we make this requirement 3 back-to-back-to-back seasons, this requirement is so challenging that even Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson, Bradley Beal, Joel Embiid, and Luka haven't done it. Only Adrian Dantley and Michael Jordan, Rockets James Harden, SGA, and Giannis are still left standing. Now moving the goalpost to 4 consecutive 30-point per game seasons, and all we have left is Dantley, MJ, Giannis, and Shai. Pretty insane. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might not be putting up the huge all-around numbers that Jokic, Giannis, and Luka put up, but his ability to score the basketball is next to none. Now I think a big difference from 2023 and 2024 SGA to last season and this season's SGA is that he's went from one of the best scorers in the league to one of the best overall players in the league. Shai in 2023 and 2024 placed 7th and 4th in box plus minus behind names like Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, and Steph Curry. He was a great player, but I wouldn't quite say he was the best player in the league. However, last season in 2025 and in this current 2026 season, SGA has given the Joker a run for his advanced stat crown that he's been holding since 2021. Well, kinda. SGA is peeking right in front of our own 2 eyes, like very few legends have done. To show you just how good SGA has been recently, Shai in his last complete 82-game season had a box plus minus of 11.46, the 17th greatest season of all time according to this stat. Would you be surprised if I told you that 2025 SGA was actually better than 2001 MVP Allen Iverson? The Allen Iverson who brought the offensively inept 76ers to the NBA Finals. Outside of Iverson's peskiness on the defensive end with steals, SGA leads in points, rebounds, assists, efficiency, and overall production and impact on the court. But we're not done yet though, because what if I told you 2025 Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was actually better than 2018 MVP James Harden? Foul baiter versus foul baiter, am I right? Well, MVP SGA scores more and more efficiently, and has more impact on the floor with the advanced stats, while Harden leads in rebounds, assists, and plays about equal defense. Now, I think this is the part of the video where I really start to make people mad, because what about the other 2 legends from OKC, KD and Russ? Well, 2025 SGA scores more and more efficiently, assists more, defends better, and has more value on the floor, while MVP 2014 Kevin Durant rebounds and shoots better from 3. Comparing Shea to Russell Westbrook now, SGA scores more and more efficiently, has more value and impact on the court than 2016 MVP Russell Westbrook, while Brody leads in rebounds and passes better. Now here's a comparison you guys aren't ready for. The Black Mamba. 2025 SGA clears Kobe in efficiency, playmaking, and pretty much all of the advanced stats, while peak 2006 Kobe Bryant wins in overall scoring, rebounds, and steals. SGA is having an all-time great peak, and we're just taking it for granted. Now, Shea can have all of the fancy scoring numbers and advanced stats, but to really be remembered with the greats I compared him to, he'll need to win several MVPs, championships, and finals MVPs to prove that 2025 wasn't a fluke season. And luckily for SGA, I think this is a mountain he can certainly climb. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has the luxury of not needing to put up insane, mind-numbing, all-around numbers to put himself in MVP talks the same way that Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, and Giannis Antetokounmpo have to. The Thunder's abnormally great regular season records, coupled with SGA's generational scoring numbers, are often enough to have him sitting at the top of MVP discussions. Life ain't fair. Due to these factors, SGA stacking the biggest accomplishments in the sport won't be as difficult as other legends have had it. As a matter of fact, Gilgeous-Alexander, even at just the age of 27, already has a basketball resume that's ahead of his time. SGA runs laps on all of his peers in the NBA right now, except for Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo. SGA's resume before the age of 28 runs laps on all of his peers in the NBA right now, except for Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Before age 28, it's extremely challenging for even the game's best stars to climb the highest heights of basketball, and yet SGA has done the impossible. If we simulate this chart to the summer of 2026, and assume the Thunder win back-to-back titles this year, with the odds already stacked in their favor, and SGA takes home another MVP, number 2 would really start to distance himself from his modern-day peers and put himself more into historic company. Taking a look at pretty much all the consensus top 10 NBA players in the modern era and their accomplishments before turning 28, if SGA and the Thunder can win back-to-back titles, along with an MVP, and his name would really start to blend in with some of the greatest players the game has ever seen. And you know what's the scariest part about this whole video? SGA has a better chance of having a basketball resume that looks like this than we think in 2025. Over the last decade of NBA hoops, one thing that's really stuck out is the increased level of competition and globalization of the game, bringing in more talent than any other prior era. Because of this, ring stacking and MVP stacking is a whole lot harder than the past. Teams and players have to work harder than ever just to end up winning less than their previous counterparts. No one's winning 11 rings or three-peating twice in the current era, but if anyone can come close to it, I think it's SGA and the Thunder. Sam Presti, the Thunder's GM, has built a seemingly genius dynasty blueprint that even hyper-successful dynasties of the past haven't came up to. The OKC Thunder have already won a championship together, and statistically, this team shouldn't even be at contender stage right now. OKC's 2025 championship roster was practically filled with rookies compared to the other NBA dynasties' first championship. The San Antonio Spurs' average team age was more than 30 years old in 1999. The Lakers the following season, in the year 2000, were around 29 years old. The Big Three in Miami in 2012 were 28 years old on average. The Larry Bird Celtics, Jordan Bulls, and Splash Brother Warriors were all close to 27 years old during their first championship, and the youngest first championship dynasty team, the 1980 Los Angeles Lakers, led by a rookie Magic Johnson, with an average team age of 26.2, the youngest on this list. Well, they would be the youngest if the 2025 Thunder didn't exist. Nearly 2 years younger at 24.8. Absolutely unreal. But do you know what's better than just a young team? A cheap young team. NBA team salaries started to be tracked in the 1985 season, so we don't have official data for Showtime or Boston, but the numbers are still shocking. The most expensive team in terms of league-wide team salary rankings were the Kobe and Shaq Lakers in 2000, who were the third most expensive team in the league at that time. The Duncan Spurs and Big Three in Miami trail LA at the 7th and 8th most expensive rosters. Golden State got away with a robbery in 2015, only having the 17th highest paid team in the league. But that's still riches compared to what Chicago and OKC paid their juggernauts. OKC isn't just preparing for the future, but they're also saving their wallet in the meantime. However, nothing's worse than a really great team that fades away in just a couple seasons. Luckily for the Thunder, this will be the least of their problems. Taking a look at draft capital 5 years out from their first championship season, we can see how Miami sold their souls to get LeBron, Wade, and Bosh all on one roster, with only 5 total draft picks in 5 years after 2012. Showtime and Boston weren't sitting any better though in the 80s, coming in at 6 and 7 total draft picks 5 years out. The Kobe and Shaq Lakers and the Golden State Warriors were at 8 draft picks deep. The average NBA team has 10 picks over 5 years, and Chicago and San Antonio just made it over this hump after Ring 1. But OKC? They look more like a rebuilding franchise than the NBA's next dynasty, with an insane, almost inconceivable 10 first-round picks and 11 second-round picks from 2026 to 2030. The Thunder aren't just a young and cheap team, but they're a young and cheap team that's about to be young and cheap for the next decade. If building an NBA dynasty was a game, like 2K My League, Sam Presti would literally have all of the in-game cheat codes to never lose the game. And if you think OKC couldn't get any better in the next year or two, you're in for a real wake-up call. Oklahoma City has 4 first-round picks in 2026 alone, with 2 of them projected to be lottery picks. And the 2026 draft isn't just some normal draft. It's rumored to be one of the best draft classes since the 2003 draft with LeBron, Wade, Melo, and Bosh, since the 2009 draft with Steph Curry, James Harden, DeMar DeRozan, and Blake Griffin, and since the 2018 draft with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, Trae Young, and Jalen Brunson. The 2026 NBA draft class has some crazy names like Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsa, Cameron Boozer, Nate Ament, and Caleb Wilson, just to name a few. And you know what's even crazier than just this? The Thunder own both the Clippers and Jazz first-round unprotected picks in this coming draft, meaning these picks will most likely be inside of the top 10, based off the way the Clippers and Jazz seasons have been going this year. They might even turn into top 5 picks. So imagine an NBA team that's already one of the best squads of all time. They're still super young and inexpensive. They have the best GM in the league with a top 3 player in the league that's only 27 with elite depth around him and great chemistry across the whole roster with no real locker room issues. And they have 21 draft picks in the next half decade with the chance to snag 2 more all-star potential prospects in the next NBA draft. Well, you don't have to imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, the NBA's next dynasty isn't just on the rise, it's already here.